the simple equation of running a household has been income minus spending equals to saving. I think that needs to be changed. That needs to be changed to income minus saving equals to what remains I'm going to spend. Ensure that your EMIs are not more than 50% of your salary. There's no way to get rich quick. You can win a lottery, but people lose out all that money. 50% is the optimal number that I'm looking at as far as saving per month with discipline over a long period of time is concerned.
I'm going to start with the most burning question that most parents have today, which is the rising cost of education.
Right.
And I'm going to remind you of your letter that you wrote to your daughter when she was 7.
That's right.
That you're not going to fund her education beyond 16.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so how can and that's idealistic, right? So I've always talked about it. I want to now implement it.
Yeah.
So how's Vishal going to do that?
So I think there are the multiple ideas. So my daughter is now 14 now, and we were talking a few days back about the various career paths that she wanted to take going forward. And out of the 4 or 5 career paths, there was just one that required her to go to college with so much high quality education now available online for free and also for a small amount of money. I think there are a lot of career paths that children can take in the future which may not require them to go through colleges.
What kind of investments? Because like we were talking about this article that we featured on Kidsstoppress, which talks about an HSBC study where parents are now happier to take fewer holidays or take spend less time on them, work longer only to fund their kids' education, but they also want to lead those virtual lives. So therefore, what are the kind of investments that they can do to walk that, I know you mentioned that fine line, but what's that kind of fine line?
I think I remember there's a very nice poem by Khalil Gibran on children.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the entire thing, but what he starts with, he says that your children are not your children.
Yeah.
They are sons and daughters of life longing for itself, right? They come from you but not through you, right? And you have no control over the future. So I would disagree with, not disagree in the sense, I would disagree with those parents who would want to sacrifice their own happiness and own lifestyle for their children. Of course, to a certain extent you can do that because you want to save money as a household. But I would rather prepare my kids for the rough path ahead, right? So that they can take care of themselves. And of course, I can chip in over a period of time. As far as saving investment avenues are concerned, I think the best long-term investment avenue is stock markets. And that has been proven time and again. And a lot of people look at stock markets as a casino, which is not the right way to look at it. When you are investing in stock markets, you're actually investing your money in businesses, right? So when you are investing your money in businesses and the businesses are going to grow, your wealth from that investment is going to grow, provided you get the right kind of stocks. But for most of people listening this, stocks directly is not the right way to go,
right.
Because you need to learn about companies and everything before you take stocks. So I would suggest identify good quality mutual funds, maybe talk to good financial advisors.
Right.
Pick up say 4 or 5 mutual funds. Again, you don't need to burden yourself with say 10 or 15 or 20 mutual funds. Just simplify your financial life. Focus on a couple of insurance policies. Focus on creating an emergency fund. Focus on say 4 or 5 mutual fund schemes and just discipline. Do an SIP, start an SIP and just keep on with that. I think your financial life is sorted. You don't need to look at anything else in
So that would mean insurance, mutual funds.
So let me put it step by step.
And also, before you start, somebody who's doing this with their full-time job, you have to assume that it's a parent, he's also taking care, and he's not following the markets as closely. I mean, he knows what's happening.
Yes,
but can you be a moonlight investor?
That's right. And that's the reason I mentioned that you have to keep it very simple because you're not focused on the markets. You should not be focused on the market. People look at stock markets as a way to get rich. Please don't look at stock markets as a way to get rich. Those should be looked at a way to keep you rich.
Yeah.
Right? So keep your purchasing power intact. So if I were to put down step by step how a person should be planning his or her financial life, whether working full-time or as a stay-home parent, I think the first step is to have an emergency fund. That's the first critical step. Emergency fund means the money that you keep aside for any emergency. Don't use that money as a down payment for a car, right? And that money as a thumb rule should be 6 to 8 or it can be more based on your comfort level, around 6 to 8 months of your monthly household spending. So if you're spending say 1 lakh rupee a month every month on your running a household, 6 to 8 lakh rupees should be kept as emergency fund in a bank account as a fixed deposit under your mattress. You are not looking at earning any money from that. That's emergency fund. After you take care of that, you focus on two kinds of insurance. One is health insurance, which is also known as Mediclaim.
Yeah.
The second is term insurance, which is pure life insurance. No other insurance, no ULIPs, no endowment, no money back, nothing else. Focus only on health insurance. If your company provides health insurance, you buy one for yourself as well, because that health insurance will expire if you leave the company.
Yeah.
And as you age, the premiums are going to rise.
Right.
So buy health insurance for yourself and your family, entire family, because we know the cost of healthcare is rising manyfold year by year. The second insurance I talked about is pure life, which is a term plan. So cover yourself, and if your spouse is working as well, cover your spouse as well. So both of you cover yourself as far as term insurance is concerned. The third thing is once you have taken care of all that, now the money that you are left with, right, you allocate that well.
Right. And Vishal, how does this change, this investment, this one pager, change from when you're I wouldn't say the 20s, but when you're in your 30s, 40s and 50s, how does this one pager change?
It actually doesn't change much, because after you cross say 20, 25 or 30, you've already taken care of your emergency fund.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've taken care of insurance and your health insurance and your term insurance. The only thing now you need to take care of is that you need to save more and more and you have to invest well. So the process does not change, it actually becomes simpler because you've already taken care of some aspects of your financial plan.
Yeah.
Now you need to focus on saving as much as possible while enjoying the present as well and investing that well for the long term, not for the short term, for the long term. So I think one of the first steps which we talk about with kids, with adults as well, the first rules of taking care of the future is to pay yourself first.
Yeah.
Paying yourself first means the simple equation of running a household has been income minus spending equals to saving. I think that needs to be changed. That needs to be changed to income minus saving equals to what remains I'm going to spend. So of course you take care of all your essential needs, everything, but in the race of copying others, this is what we are seeing across the world, now coming to India as well, where people are trying to copy others in terms of the lives that they live, the Instagram lives.
We try to constantly stay away on Kidsstoppress, like we want to make people feel good about themselves versus making them feel inadequate, because I think that's the worst feeling that social does.
That's right. You have to walk a very fine balance when you're on social media these days, because everyone else seems to be happier than you are. Right? And when we are trying virtually, right? And when as you mentioned, when we start feeling inadequate, when we start spending money to get over that inadequacy, we are not sure of what kind of real lives those other guys who look happier are actually leading.
Yeah.
How much debt, how much loans they have, how much EMIs they are paying to fund that feeling of happiness that you see on social media. So getting over that kind of a thing, not leading a life which is led by peer pressure, by WhatsApp, social media. I think leading a very independent, minimalist life. I think I'm not just talking about saving for your future, I'm also talking about enjoying the present.
What should your savings look like? Like, what should you be saving with?
So I think, if I were to put a number to it, then I think when you are starting to earn money, starting with your first job, your target should be to save at least 10% of your net take-home salary.
Right.
How much to invest in fixed deposit and bonds versus how much to invest in equity markets is a very personal choice. But what I assume is that any money that you need in the next 4 to 5 years, small part of that money should be in stock markets.
Okay.
But any money that you need beyond 5 years or long term, maybe 15 years, 20 years, right, for your own retirement or for your child's education, if you want to fund that, almost 100% of that money should be in stock markets, through mutual funds or through stocks if you can really pick stocks. But go through mutual funds, select good quality mutual funds and invest over there. So this is a simple one-page kind of a financial plan that everyone can follow.
Why investing in is not advisable in real estate?
So I think we have grown in a society in India, we have grown favoring real estate, right? Our parents, grandfathers, they all favored gold and real estate, right? Real estate is, I think, given an investment is always good when you buy it at a right price. Whether it's stocks, whether it's a real estate, right? Gold, of course, is not an investment because the definition of an investment is something that earns you cash flows.
Right.
Gold doesn't earn you cash flow. It only earns you cash when you actually sell it.
Right.
And nobody decides what the price of gold would be. But a real estate could be an investment if it's a commercial property, or if it's a house that you buy and you give on rent, so that can be investment. But the fact that real estate prices in India have, across the country, have become so high, right? Then you're buying stuff at such an expensive price, you don't get adequate rent. The rent to price that you bought it, the yield is not enough. So that's the reason real estate could be a good investment if you buy it cheap, if you buy it using your own money, and you get a good rent on it. Otherwise, I think in cities like Bombay, I don't see real estate as a good investment.
And then the follow-up question to that is: should I be renting or buy a house in these markets?
Renting is definitely the way to go. If you look at examples of Uber and Airbnb, those are examples of where you actually don't need to own an asset.
Right.
So rather, I think the world is moving towards from ownership of assets to access to assets.
Right. Next question is: as a beginner, how do I know where to invest?
Okay, so I think if as I mentioned, first know when you need the money. If you are earning money and you don't need that money in the next 5 years, put that money in mutual funds. Maybe get in touch with a financial advisor, or maybe do online research. There are websites which can help you. Morningstar is a website. Value Research Online is a website. There are websites which can help you find out high quality mutual funds. And if you can get hold of a good financial advisor, the best way is to go through that person. Start investing in mutual funds, let your money compound as soon as possible. Now, we've been talking about compounding, but it's a very important concept. The most important concept in compounding, there are three variables in fact: the money that you start investing, the rate of return that you earn on that investment, and the time during which you earn that rate of return. Most people are looking at the rate of return, but most people are ignoring the most important concept in compounding, which is time. Right? Just to give you an example, if you were to grow your money 100 times in 25 years, right, 1 rupee becomes 100 rupees in 25 years, you need 20% annual rate of return. You don't need 50%, you need 20% annual rate of return for 25 years. First 20 years will take you from 1 to 40. From 40 to 100, which is the 60 part, comes in the last 5 years.
Right.
That is compounding. Compound is back-ended. You don't see the benefits of compounding earlier, but if you start investing early, as small as 5,000 rupees, starting with as low as say 5,000 rupees EMI or SIP, not EMI, SIP, gradually taking it up, but doing it as soon as possible, and just doing it, doing it every month after month after month.
Okay, somebody's asked, what are the risks involved in investing?
I think the biggest risk is you yourself. I think when it comes to investing, if you are not investing in the right places, especially when I talk about stock markets, I think people behave very badly. The success secret of stock market, 99% of the time is behavior, only 1% is intelligence, right? What to buy, how much to buy, at what prices to buy. That is intelligence. That is only 1%. 99% is behavior, and that behavior is largely dependent on how much time you have. Right. If you have a long period of time, you will not be impatient. You would rather want to buy a high quality business and high quality mutual funds and keep on investing for a long period of time. So I think the biggest risk is you. Another big risk to your investment framework is, as I mentioned, borrowing a lot of money. A lot of people, after they earn some kind of return in investing, they borrow money to invest. Please don't borrow money to invest. Please invest only on your own money. So your own money, invest for a long period of time. I think that's it.
That's it.
Nothing else. Nothing else.
Okay.
It's like there's a term called coffee can investing. So in olden days, you had coffee cans made of tins, and our grandmothers used to save some currency, some notes over there, some gold coins as well, and just forget about it. And after 20 years, when you open that can, the value is huge because gradually you have saved some amount of money in coffee can. So approach that's investing with a very simple mindset. Be sensible. Of course, our brains are not wired to make ourselves sensible investors. We decide a lot of things based on reflexes rather than on reflection. So reflect a bit, think about what will happen if you don't invest.
I'm still absorbing that reflexes versus reflection.
It's a very important concept. That's how our brains work. Some reflexes are not bad because if you go back to say when our forefathers were roaming the jungles and they heard some sound behind the bushes, they couldn't have reflected. They had to reflexively just run away, and that's the reason we are here today, right? So reflexes really work in real life, but when it comes to investing your money, be reflective. Think what you're doing. It's your hard-earned money. Please don't lose it.
How are FDs
as investment
any other options?
So fixed deposits are good for people who don't want to risk their money on stock markets. Of course, if you, as again coming back to the point, if you have money which you don't need the next 5 years, FDs are bigger risk. Why FDs are bigger risk? Because the maximum rate of return that you can earn in FD is say 7, 8 or 9% rate of return. When you have inflation in the economy, which is prices moving up every year, when it is rising at 12 to 15% every year and your return is less than that, you are actually earning a negative rate of return.
Correct.
So in the long term, your FD is risky. In the short term, when you want to keep that money safe for a financial need that is coming up in the next 3 to 5 years, you put some part of your money in FD, but long term, go to equities.
Okay. And one question that's actually come in is suggestions for stock market investments. I'm sure this was coming.
I don't really talk about individual stocks, but if you really want to get into stocks, I think look at businesses which you understand. Look at simple businesses. So just to give an example, when my daughter was 11 years of age, 3 years back, I drew a household. I drew a living room. And I listed down all the companies which were there in the living room. So there were air conditioner companies, there were paint companies, there were footwear, there were toys, there were stationery, there were retail. The father is thinking about a car, so there's a car company, there's a tire company, there's a jewelry company, there's a food company, there's media companies. There's so many businesses out there which are simple to understand, which we interact with on a daily basis. So go out, find out which kind of businesses you really understand, and whether they have done really well in the past and whether they have a good future 10 years, probably 10 to 15 years down the line. Then you need to do some basic math. You need to find out whether the stock price is reasonably attractive. Now that's a discussion for another day, but if you can do all that work, you can still go and pick some good quality stocks. So as an example, what we did 3 years back is I asked my daughter to pick up 10 businesses from that list, assuming those were 10 stocks that she picked up. And over the previous 3 years, that portfolio has given 80% rate of return compared to the stock market, which is a Sensex, which gave around a 40% rate of return. So that portfolio has beaten the index as well. But that doesn't mean that my daughter has become a sensible investor. It's purely luck. 3 years is purely luck. But the idea is that investing can be made very simple. You have to do things which you understand. The moment you move outside your circle of competence, you are going to fall flat on your face.
How have investment patterns changed between two generations, and what has surprised you?
Okay, so I think participants have changed. Nothing else has changed. Patterns have not changed. Behavior has not changed.
Somebody's asked, in your experience, what qualities does one require to be an investor?
You have to be painfully patient. I think it's actually painful to be patient, because try driving on a street in Bombay and you know that you are not patient. If you can practice patience, I think that can take you through every thick and thin. I remember of this test called the marshmallow test, which was done in the US by a scientist that died recently. And the idea was to put kids of 5 years, 4 years, 6 years of age in a room with a single piece of marshmallow. And the task was that if you don't eat the marshmallow in the 15 minutes, then the teacher is out of the classroom, you will get another marshmallow, and then you can eat both of them. So most of the kids could not resist that, because marshmallow is like, you have to eat it, you cannot really wait. Who bothers about the future, even if it's 15 minutes later? And when they tracked the lives of those kids, they really found out, and there's a book called The Marshmallow Test. They found out that the kids who actually did not eat the marshmallow succeeded in life, and the guys who actually ate the marshmallow because they could not resist it, they did not have the patience of waiting for 15 minutes, actually did not do really well.
Right.
So patience is something which I advise to everyone, to my kids, to my 20-year-old self as well. Wish I could have been more patient.
And that actually follows to our next question, which is, somebody's asked that if you lose money, how do you deal with it? With loss or failure, how do you deal with it?
So I think I don't see there are any failures, there are only lessons. So there are no mistakes, there are only lessons that you can take from that. So when I probably, if I understand the question right, he's or she's talking about losing money in the stock market.
Yes.
Right, so if your stock is down, say 20-30%, that is not losing money. But if your stock falls and does not recover at all, that is losing money. Financial advisors or insurance agents are always mostly going to sell you insurance plus investment together. Avoid that. Keep insurance and investment separate, because otherwise you're going to lose your money permanently. That's permanent loss of capital.
Right, so I know Randy Zuckerberg said this very interesting thing, that out of these 5 things, you have to prioritize only 3, which is work, family, health, sleep, and friends stroke entertainment.
Yeah.
Right, I'm adding the entertainment now because of the Netflix generation.
Yeah,
because
that's right.
friends have been substituted
That's right.
by
Of course, yes.
by
Of course, yes.
on-demand television. But you will be at any point in time be able to prioritize only these three.
Yeah, that's
So we leave our readers with that thought, our listeners and everybody who's watching with a thought of what are the three that you want to prioritize. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to tweet to Vishal or us, and we're happy to take them.
Sure.
And Shah, thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me.
For more recipes, conversation, DIYs for kids, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video from Kidsstoppress.com.